So here's what happened. So last week, it was weird because I remember, was it a Tuesday? I think it was last Tuesday, about a week ago. A report came out that Verizon service was down, meaning like the data, the calls, the text that come into your phone if you have Verizon service, that Verizon towers service were down. Like if you had Verizon, couldn't make calls, your text wouldn't go out, couldn't get on the internet, apps wouldn't work. Damn, that's weird. Every now and then you'll hear that and you're just like, damn, that sucks for Verizon users, And then the next day, I heard that the PlayStation Store was down, right? PlayStation Store, meaning it's like the App Store. I'm not a gamer, but it's basically like the App Store. It's the servers that keep PlayStation running, right? Games, I'm sure making payments or buying credits or whatever. That was down. It's like, damn, that's weird. Is that a coincidence, or is it just, bad timing one day after the other? And then the day after that, it was like 3 out of 4 days. And then a day or two after that, boom, AT&T service is down, meaning no phone calls, no texts, no service, no data, nothing. And then when I heard that, I was like, that's not a coincidence. Something is going on. Something's going on. That's not a coincidence for Verizon to go down, for PlayStation Store, PlayStation to go down, for AT&T service to go down. It's not a coincidence when 3 ginormous companies, their servers just boom, crash. 3 out of 4 days. Something's going on, and I knew it was just a matter of time until we heard what was behind that, right? And we got that today. So now we know, and I knew this was it. I knew it. I didn't say anything on this live stream. I didn't say anything. But now we know. Watch. Look at this. Is breaking up. They must have hacked me. Shit. They must have got me. So look at this. Hackers. There we go. So apparently, hackers shut down Verizon service. Hackers shut down AT&T service. Now, they don't mention PlayStation. I can guarantee you it was hackers. Remember, these hackers don't like Sony because they famously made fun of China, North Korea. In what was that movie? I can't remember, but it was one of they hacked into Sony films. North Korea or China did. Well, guess what? They're back at it. So I know China is behind the Sony PlayStation hack too. But not only that, but here's a major concern. So China hackers shut down Verizon, AT&T, and Sony PlayStation, but they also might have accessed personal information, right, of yours. If you're a Verizon customer, if you're an AT&T customer, if you're on PlayStation or have a gamer tag or whatever the hell it's called, you might want to keep a close eye on your credit score, on your bank account. Just be extra vigilant of everything you do from here on out. Now, I'm a T-Mobile customer. I check my accounts. I check everything multiple times a day because I am scared to death of somebody draining my accounts or somebody hacking into my stuff. I take all the precautions I can. But if you're an AT&T customer, if you're a Verizon customer or a PlayStation user, you want to keep an extra close eye on everything going on around you because it looks like these Chinese hackers were in networks of major ISPs for months. Chinese government hackers penetrated the networks of several large US-based internet service providers and might have gained access to systems used for court-authorized wiretaps of communication networks. The Wall Street Journal reported Saturday. This is not some janky college campus reporting. This is not some stupid YouTuber making some claims. This is the Wall Street Journal. Now, I know some big name medias have been, their authenticity and integrity has been wavering a little bit, but this is a reputable publisher nonetheless. So the Wall Street Journal is reporting these hackers not only shut down these networks the other day, they've been inside these networks. They've been gaining access. They've been collecting information for wiretaps. That means they can listen to your conversations. This means they can get your text messages, all your messaging, everything that goes, that all the data, voice, text, and data that comes to and from the towers to your device, these hackers possibly could have had access to. Now, could you be the one? Is it every single AT&T subscriber? Is it every single Verizon network subscriber? Maybe. Shit, I don't know. But maybe not. You know, do Verizon and AT&T together? Now, T-Mobile obviously is the number one. Anyways, those top three, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, are the top mobile subscribers in the United States. So if they've hacked 2 out of the 3, that means they've roughly had access to probably 200 million customers. Basically, I don't know, and I'm going to look into this. I don't know if Mint Mobile customers, or no, I shouldn't say that, Visible or Spectrum, right, or Cricket, right? Since Cricket is not, it is technically AT&T because it runs on AT&T towers, it runs on AT&T computer systems. It's just called Cricket. I think it includes the MVNOs. I think, but I'm not sure. But if you're an AT&T or Verizon customer, you need to be aware of this, right? And that's why we're talking about it today. People familiar with the matter, quote unquote, told the Wall Street Journal that hackers breached the networks of companies including Verizon, AT&T, and Lumen. What the hell is a Lumen? Oh, CenturyLink. What the hell is that? A cyber attack tied to the Chinese government penetrated networks of a swath of U.S. broadband providers, potentially accessing information from systems the federal government uses for court-authorized network wiretapping requests for months or longer. The hackers might have held access to network infrastructure used to cooperate with lawful U.S. requests for communication data, according to people familiar with the matter. And remember, the court-ordered U.S., it's supposed to, even though I know the CIA will listen in on wiretaps and they don't even have to get a warrant, right? Because typically under a federal, when they do wiretaps, the feds have to present this case. If they're targeting somebody like me, right? Knock on wood, I'm not doing anything illegal, so chill, right? Chill. They would have to go to a federal judge, federal court, present the judge with evidence. Hey, we need to wiretap eSIM Studios. We have evidence of them, or in some claim, or some claims that they're doing whatever. Well, the judge would sign off on it, look at over all the evidence, and he has to say so. He gives the authority to, yes, you can wiretap eSIM Studios, or no, you cannot. Yeah, I need more evidence, right? So there's a maybe or maybe not. Typically, they go ahead and sign off on it. But if you're the Chinese government, if you're Chinese hackers, you think they're asking for a warrant or a judge for authority? No. They can go in and let's listen to eSIM Studios call. Oh, what text messages did he send out today? Let's look at the data packets that he's receiving on his phone. What websites has he been going to? All that they don't need approval for, and they're looking at anything and everything you're doing. This is huge, and I don't know why it's not bigger news. It's probably because AT&T and Verizon are silencing these reports. These attackers also had access to other tranches of more generic internet traffic, according to Wall Street Journal sources. The attack is being attributed to a Chinese hacking group called Salt Typhoon. Okay, what a dumb name. The Washington Post reported on the hacking campaign yesterday, describing it as an audacious espionage operation likely aimed in part at discovering the Chinese targets of American surveillance. The Post report attributed the information to the U.S. government officials and said an investigation by the FBI, other intelligence agencies, and the Department of Homeland Security. It is in the early stages. The Post report said there are indications that China's Ministry of State Security is involved in the attacks. So this goes all the way up to the highest levels, not only to the U.S. government, CIA, right? I'm sure they're looking into it, or I'm sure they've been aware. If we're just finding this out, our government has been aware of this for a while, right? It's just the publications got the word of it and then wrote a big article on it. Right? And this goes up to the highest levels of the U.S. government. This goes to the highest levels of the Chinese government because they're involved with the hacking. Remember, China is a communist country. If you own and or start a business in China, you have to let the government in on what you're doing, meaning your whereabouts, the money, the revenue you're bringing in, because you have to give a large portion of that revenue to the government. And ultimately, they have say-so over your business, right? So companies like Alibaba, that's a Chinese-based. The long story about that I'm not going to get into. They're in and have say-so on whatever you do. Which I bring that up because Chinese government has say-so, veto power, whatever you want to call it, on this Salt Typhoon hacking group, right? I believe the Chinese government spearheaded this. I believe the Chinese government obviously funding this, obviously promoting it internally, because why wouldn't they, right? I'm not going to get into all the fake actors, Chinese fake actors that are here in America, and I don't want to veer too far off of this tech thing, but there's a lot of Chinese nationals in the United States that are working for the Chinese government. Actually, that are real spies. Like, not like James Bond style, right? Or Jason Bourne or Mission Impossible Tom Cruise type of spies, but they're spies that report back to the government, right? They report back. They get jobs at IBM. These Chinese nationals that are just over here on a work visa, they're getting jobs at high level companies and reporting information, specific information, back to China. In fact, there was a senator, I think in like Delaware or something. Her aide got arrested a couple months ago for being a spy. So they're all over the place here. And China is probably spying more on us than we're spying on them, right? Although I know everybody's spying on everybody, but this is just another example, right? They tapped in to our wireless carriers. So technically, they could listen to every single conversation you've made. They could read every single text you send. They can look at all the sites you go to. Yeah, even those. Even those. Yes, those sites that you don't want anybody knowing. Yeah, guess what? Your husband or your wife might not know that you're going to those websites, but guess what? The Chinese government knows. So this is not a good thing. So Verizon has reportedly been working with the FBI. Verizon reportedly set up a war room at its facility in Ashburn, Virginia, where it is working with personnel from the FBI, Microsoft, Google. Hackers apparently extradited some data from Verizon networks by reconfiguring Cisco routers. Ooh, this doesn't sound good, said one current and one former U.S. official familiar with the matter. According to the Post, the fact that they were able to make changes in the routers without detection reflects the sophistication of the adversary, but also raises questions about Verizon's security posture, analysts said. Duh. This is how, not necessarily SIM swaps work, because that's more of a human, that's more of a person physically going into their servers and switching out SIM card EID numbers, right? Although these Chinese hackers are going in to Verizon networks, Verizon servers, and changing stuff in and tapping in, right? Because Verizon, what do you think Google does when law enforcement goes to Google? Hey, we need all these emails that eSIM Studio sent out. We think he's doing something nefarious or breaking the law somehow. We need all of we need access to his Gmail account. Well, they got to take that to a federal court, and then the federal judge has to sign off on that. Well, that would be the same thing that China's doing with Verizon and AT&T, except, again, they're not having to go to a court. They're not having to go to a judge. They're getting into Verizon servers, and they have full access to you. Both the Post and Wall Street Journal reports say it is possible that U.S. wiretapping systems were penetrated, but it hasn't yet been proven. There is some indication the lawful intercept system was targeted. A U.S. security official told the Post, one U.S. official told the Post that President Joe Biden was briefed about the breach. Whether the hackers got access to actual lists of federal surveillance targets or their communications, or what they might have taken, is not clear, officials said. Washington Post wrote, it is also not clear whether the subjects of the surveillance at issue were targeted in domestic criminal investigations or national security cases such as espionage, terrorism, or cybersecurity. So what they're saying is the government is not sure of who the Chinese hackers were targeting. Was it Chinese nationals that they wanted to keep a closer eye on? Maybe you've seen these spy movies, like in Mission Impossible, right? He works for the U.S. government, but he kind of goes rogue, right? Well, another way, let's say that was a Chinese spy. They kind of went rogue, and they weren't really sending in communication to China. Well, maybe China wants to take a closer look at where this spy went rogue, right? Maybe the U.S. government doesn't know who the Chinese hackers were basically targeting, right? Was it their own? Was it one of us? Was it regular citizens like you and I? They don't know yet, but just the fact that essentially they can spy on anybody at whenever they want to, whether it's you know what they probably did all the above. Knowing China, knowing how conniving they are, not the people, I'm talking about the government. Please let me be very 100% clear. I'm not targeting the people of China. This is the government that I'm kind of criticizing or explaining. This is the hackers. What was it? Salt, Typhoon. I'm talking about them. So please don't take any offense. I know tons of great Chinese people. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about government here. They were probably spying on everybody. Let me break the news to you. They were spying on everybody. They're just telling you this to kind of keep people's emotions, make sure people don't really get that worked up, if possible. They were spying on everybody. I guarantee it. Let's see. AT&T. So AT&T and Lumen. What is Lumen? Oh, they said it was like a Cisco. Oh, the servers. That's right. So Lumen is probably the parent company of Cisco. And Verizon and AT&T probably use Cisco systems for their servers and their data centers. That's what it is. So Lumen probably owns the data centers and servers, and that's how they get tied in. And then Verizon and AT&T, what do you know? I got a Verizon ad right up here in the top right. Verizon and AT&T use Lumen's Cisco servers to store and to run data off of. So AT&T and Lumen declined comment when they were contacted. Not surprised. Has also contacted. They also contacted Verizon and Cisco, and will update the article with any comment, which we just went over. Get this. A spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington alleged in a statement to the Post that the U.S. intelligence community and cybersecurity companies have been secretly collaborating to piece together false evidence and spread disinformation about the Chinese government supporting attacks on U.S. targets. Some details of Salt Typhoon campaign were reported by the Wall Street Journal on September 26th, but that earlier story did not mention specific internet service providers or the wiretap aspect. So China's basically, the Chinese embassy in Washington is basically saying it's a load of crap. It's false, but we all know they do this. The spy balloon, that was Chinese, right? I mean, come on. They're always finding ways to target America and Americans, basically. So please be careful. Now, we're going to get off of this, but real quick, is there anything that you can do? Let's say you're a Verizon or AT&T customer. Is there anything you can do to protect yourself? No, unfortunately, I don't believe so. Now, and I hate to say that, but I honestly don't think so, because they're doing this from the inside, right? It's like SIM swaps. There's a couple things you can do. Look, even if you run a VPN, still not going to matter. You know why? Because even though you're routing your data packets that you send off for your phone when you are on the internet, right, or even in apps, how they work in the background, you can send and receive data packets, right? Even though they are routed between like 2 or 3 different servers around the world, if you're using data, like if you're not in Wi-Fi, if you're not at home, if you're out at a park or you're at a movie theater, even though, and you have a VPN active, even though you have a VPN, it still has to get routed through Verizon or AT&T servers for data, because that's what we're talking about here. You're just using the VPN is just going to a couple of different places, but it still ultimately has to go to and from the data servers, right? Because you're getting data service from Verizon or from AT&T. So I don't even think VPNs would work. I don't think the Tor network will work, which is the Tor network is basically what the darknet is run on. I don't think that would work. If you're on Wi-Fi, you could turn off your data you could turn off your data if you have AT&T or Verizon. But if you're off of Wi-Fi, like at a theater or at a park, no, I don't think there's anything you can do. Now, you can get so you can drop AT&T or Verizon and get a company like Ifani. Now, Ifani, they're good at protecting you from a SIM swap, but this is not totally different, but kind of different. Remember, this is from the inside. And that's the thing, all your data to and from calls, texts, and data, no matter what kind of VPN or Tor network you have, doesn't matter, because it still has to be routed through Verizon, for your data, so they can look at what you're looking at online. They can tell what you're doing online, what apps you're downloading, what apps you're using, calls, texts, all that. So not a good deal. So just, I don't know. I wish I could give you some good advice as far as what to do, but when you're this far inside the network, nothing you can do. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's anything you can do. You're screwed. Honestly, I mean, all you can do is just hope they didn't look at your information. Now, good news is that it's like a needle in a haystack, because remember, with these 2 out of the 3 major service providers, you're talking about 200 million people. So what are the chances they're going to look just randomly at eSIM Studios ISP, right? Or they're going to look at me. What are the chances of that? 1 out of 200 million. It's probably same chances you have of winning the lottery, but still, there are still people they look at, right? So it's just luck of the draw. So I don't know. Stay tuned. All I can say is I promise you, I will keep an eye on this story, and if any other information pops up, any more news comes to light, I'll promise to inform you and let you know, because this directly affects everybody, but especially in our world, right? The tech world, since this is kind of right up our alley. Stay tuned. Subscribe to eSIM Studios YouTube channel, and so you don't miss any news that comes from this story. I promise I will bring to your attention. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you get notified. That's a good thing about subscribing, is you will be notified of any new information or any more videos that I make on this topic.